So getting back to the shock jock thing, we should
Shock jock.
we should talk about this Cheryl McCarthy who writes for Newsday.
Yeah.
Completely getting it all wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Because there was another incident at our old radio station, WBAB.
BAB.
Roger and JP had some kind of song parody that.
Oh my God! It was a commercial parody.
It sounds like it was a funny commercial parody.
I gotta give him credit. From what I heard, sounded funny. It was a bit called the Wetback Steakhouse, and it was about illegal immigrants, and like an Outback Steakhouse kind of thing, where the menu included certain items that might be considered offensive.
And the commercial mocked stereotypes of Hispanic immigrants, basically.
Right.
So this Cheryl McCarthy, she took the Star story and the Roger and JP and all the other shock jocks incidents in the past few years and wrote a whole article on her point of view on the whole thing.
It made fun of Hispanic stereotypes. I don't go for that at all.
God forbid.
I don't go for that at all.
God forbid we make fun of others that don't look like us.
Cheryl.
Hey, I'm sorry, but if 95% of one group acts a certain way, it doesn't mean they all will.
Right. There's 5% out there that are angry.
That's right.
Well, this Cheryl McCarthy, she's lost. Hip-hop radio host Star says he's sorry about the on-air threats he made to sexually molest a rival DJ's 4-year-old daughter, to go after her with a gun, and about the anti-Asian slurs he made against the guy's wife. He was just mouthing off at someone who had threatened him, he said, and never meant to do any of those things. The executives at WBAB Radio on Long Island say they didn't mean to offend anyone when they aired a fake commercial for Wetback Steakhouse that trotted out every mocking stereotype of Hispanic immigrants. It was just a good-natured attempt at humor by the show's host, they said. But don't believe them, Cheryl says.
No, Cheryl.
What they mean is they're surprised anyone made a stink about the hateful stuff they were doing.
Yes.
They thought they could get away with spouting such racist, sexist crap because so many of their listeners seem to dig it.
Good point, Hole. Good point.
And sure enough, on WBAB's Roger and JP morning show on Friday, listeners were calling in to say they thought the spoof was hilarious.
Hilarious.
And that they couldn't understand what all the fuss was about.
I just like how JP and Roger and JP were actually apologizing, and the bit was only halfway over. I've never seen a pair apologize more quickly than these two. Oh my God.
This one is called The Wetback. We're sorry. We're sorry. We're sorry.
Look, we apologize to anyone we're offending at this very moment as the bit plays.
You know, this is
a bunch of pussies. They should have just hung in there, man.
Just hang in there.
If you're going to do this type of radio, you got to know how to hang in there.
And this, the Broad raises a point about the sexist, racist stuff.
Yeah.
And this is already in the second paragraph. The fake creature makes a mistake. She points out that this Wetback Steakhouse is the same as the Star thing. Hey, stupid. Mm-hmm. Hey, dummy. The difference is one is simply a freedom of speech issue. One is FCC violations where there were perceived real threats involved with a gun and a 4-year-old.
Right.
You can't compare the two. This is the problem the left makes when it comes to hate speech. Stop lumping in impolite and tasteless things with hate things. They're completely different things, but when you lump them in, this is why now times you mention a political correctness, somebody wants to spit in your face. That's why.
Oh, wow. It's like the Star thing, right? No, it's not. The Star thing, threats made, perhaps we'll see what legally what this comes to, whether they interpret it as actual threats made against these people. FCC violations, the language he used, I listened to the entire tape. We're pretty savvy on what is supposed to go out language-wise, and they were violations. I've seen violations already that contained the same language that he was using. So,
yeah, it's going to be a mess for Clear Channel. They're going to be fined millions of dollars on this one.
The Wetback Steakhouse thing, offensive to some people, sure. Some Hispanics would listen to it and find it offensive. A lot of people would find it funny.
How would they find it offensive if they don't even speak English?
For it to be tasteless, it's in poor taste. Some people will be offended by its content, but it fits within FCC regulations. It fits. It isn't an offendable bit. You can't get fined for something like this. You could lose sponsors if your station, buckles and sponsors buckle, things like that, which is very important to companies these days, which is dangerous to the artist. But it's not lumped in to the same thing as star.
Yeah.
It just shouldn't be.
And who doesn't love stereotypes?
We all love them.
I love stereotyping. I absolutely love it.
Jokes based
what
on
is wrong
stereotypes
with it?
have been around for years.
They're
consistently funny.
Ever since we landed in America, we started.
They started making jokes.
We started making fun of the Indians.
The Indians.
You don't think they were making fun of the Pilgrims right back?
Dopey hats. Big stupid hats they wore instead of feathers.
Day one when we landed here, they were making fun of each other.
Yep.
And what is wrong with that?
It's hateful, Ope, and I don't care for it.
It's not hateful.
It's hateful.
That such cant is being routinely spewed on radio shows is proof, ready for this?
Yes.
Of how we've regressed in this country in the past few decades.
Yes, we've definitely regressed in the past few decades. Cheryl McCarthy, who, by the way, is an African-American woman.
Hyphenate.
African-American woman.
No, you're just American.
And she is saying that things were better a few decades ago. Hold on there, honey. Hold on there, sweetie pants. Hey, toots, why don't you think back what a couple of decades ago were like? It wasn't just a few tasteless jokes being thrown around. I think there were things like fire hoses and German shepherds that may have been a little more offensive than a joke. You know what I mean?
And the bottom line is...
go ahead.
The only thing that has regressed is the genitals of white men. We have become such a bunch of frightened, guilt-ridden douches.
Yeah.
Afraid to make... And I'm not talking about white people around the country. I'm talking about any type of tasteless remark, any type of pseudo-offensive remark. We recoil in the shame because of this country's treatment of minorities for a long time. And people have confused that awful behavior with the hoses with what is said in humor.
Yeah.
And they're different things. Stupid. Stupid broad.
As a white man... You're open to any type of goofing,
of course you are,
as is humanly possible by any racial or religious group. You are open to it. You have no recourse. There isn't a place to go, because the second you start saying that we as white people, that's all they hear. And the rest is hoods and burning crosses and everything else. You can't stick up for yourself as a white person who's been the victim. And I don't even consider it that, because it's jokes, of some type of joke. We've all seen it on BET and other comedy shows where the black comic will get up and do his white man imitation, where he's walking and watering the lawn and, excuse me, honey, could I have another martini? They put on that stereotypical white voice. And white people cannot, you can't defend against that. There's no where to go. Where are you going to go? Gather up your white friends? Excuse me, we're busy working. But if a white guy gets on stage and starts shucking and jiving, maybe puts on blackface for a part or does something, he's crucified as a racist.
Wait till you read the rest of it. It gets more. The more I read this, the more
it's
I want
unbelievable.
this woman to chip a tooth on a urinal.
For a while in the aftermath of the civil rights,
little help.
Here, let's get through this because we got to take a break. For a while in the aftermath of the civil rights and women's rights movements, and as gay rights started to gain momentum, it wasn't fashionable to make certain kinds of remarks in public. What the far right wing mocked as political correctness was really a push for people to behave civilly toward groups that had long been discriminated against, slandered, and kept out of the mainstream. This meant people of color, women, homosexuals, foreigners, the physically disabled, and those who weren't Christians.
There's a point to the fact that the original idea, I think, of political correctness was to keep people from being, treated horrible. I understand the original motive of it, which was, I think, a noble motive originally behind the idea of, let's be a little bit nicer to people. They've been treated badly, and, you feel kind of... But then when you go into those who weren't Christians, I did 2 years on Colin's show on Comedy Central, you dummy. Every note we got about things you couldn't say had nothing to do with not making fun of white people. Mm-hmm. There were certain racial things you couldn't do. You have to explain every time you made fun of Islam.
Right.
Every time you made fun of Islam, you had to explain it so it didn't seem like it was insensitive. Colin did a sketch one time where he was mocking the Hollywood elite and their treatment of blacks, and he said nigga in the sketch as a mockery of the way they do it. Would not allow it.
They wouldn't allow it.
Of course not. Chappelle's show, South Park, any other show can say what they wanted because there's a different set of regulations for blacks and whites when it comes to freedom of speech, when it comes to things like that. So
and it's because the executives and the standards and practice people are so guilty guilt-ridden.
Absolutely.
So guilt-ridden.
There are a bunch of white people with superiority complexes, and they're afraid if you allow that to happen, blacks and other minorities are going to see how truly superior and racist you are, or you think you are.
Right. So they, as a way to keep them from thinking that, you give them these extra little things that they're allowed to do that white people aren't allowed.
The way you coddle a child, not the way you see an equal. Like when we got back from Iraq, there was video of me and Colin scuffling, goofing around in Iraq. And one of the sketches we did was there was a voiceover that Laurie Kilmartin did, and it was showing me and Colin going back and forth, and the voiceover at the end had something to do with domestic violence. Like, we were a couple fighting, like two gay guys.
Oh, my God.
As the third act is coming on, we're shooting, they go, you can't do that, because you can't make fun of domestic violence.
Ugh.
You can't make fun of... That's the mentality there. Get some 25-year-old chick. And I fought with the standards department over there. Some 25-year-old chick right out of college who's going to throw her own ideology in instead of just saying what is allowed, what is not allowed due to the FCC regs.
You know what people don't understand also? They see making jokes about, what does she say here? People of color, women, homosexuals, foreigners, physically disabled. They see that in the same exact light as going out, finding a gay guy and beating him.
Yep.
There is no one in this room that condones or would participate in violence, physical violence against anyone from any of these groups that she's mentioning.
Unless they eyed a white girl.
Well, of course.
Straight that out.
Rules are rules. But to joke about it, to make jokes about it, is funny, you dummy. Cheryl, I'd love to come up to you at a party. You must just be the life of the party, spouting your gospel.
Well,
as other people are telling funny jokes based on these things that you say, because, excuse me, we're not Vulcans. We're never going to be Vulcans. We're human beings. We find certain things darkly funny. And jokes about certain ethnic groups and their stereotypes are funny. It doesn't mean you're going out and beating them up.
And can black people stop? This is something that bugs me. And again, this is more the white people's fault. Like, stop sectioning off things when it's convenient. Like, for instance, you don't have a white section anywhere. And I know, well, most of the video store is white. Is it? Like, they have a black section. I think it was Virgin, and there's a thing called black cinema. Why can't black movies be under dramas? Like, why isn't X listed under drama like every other drama? Why does there have to be a black section?
Why does it have to be so hard and dangerous to find that movie?
The black cinema.
And then BET, I mean, continues your point.
Well, that's cool. Yeah. All that crap.
Different award shows that are just for Hispanic or black performers. It just reeks of separatism. But it's okay. It's acceptable separatism because it's made by blacks or Hispanic groups. If it's made by white people, it's not separatism. It is unbelievable racism. You're in the Klan. You hate blacks. You hate Hispanics. It's just a double standard that is getting out of control.
Right. We got to take a break, but before we go, Tommy in New York. Tommy.
Hey, boys, what's up? Hey, little Jimmy, love you.
Thanks, Tommy.
Listen, Carlos Mencia did a whole thing on, he did a spoof on Wetback Mountain, and he didn't get any crap for that.
Wetback Mountain?
Well, because he's a Hispanic comedian. It's okay.
It's okay.
It's okay.
It's ridiculous. People just lighten up, and it's a joke. You want to laugh, have some fun. You can't make fun of other people. Who are you going to make fun of?
Well, it's good to kind of read articles like this, though, because it does show, like, just this is exactly the mentality of the far left when it comes to things like this. Is why, as awful as the conservatives are right now, and they stink. They stink.
Yep.
For you not to be able to win an election, a major election, this is why. Because this is the nonsense you're worried about.
Yeah.
Well, we're only halfway done with the article.
Line 10 has a great point. This woman was talking about a couple of decades ago. We were a little more, what? We were better with the racist jokes. We weren't telling them as much. We were being more sensitive a couple of decades ago. Look what line 10 says.
Frankie, go.
Yeah, how did Mel Brooks get away with Blazing Saddles?
Blazing Saddles.
They don't make movies like Blazing Saddles anymore.
You could not make a movie like Blazing Saddles anymore.
Have you ever tried to count how many times he drops the N-bomb in that movie?
Unbelievable. And it's funny. It's a hysterical movie. They're making fun of stereotypes of all kinds of ethnicities, and it's a funny movie. But you couldn't make that now.
We got to fight this battle. We got to keep stereotyping alive and well.
Yeah.
It's been around since the start of this country.
Right.
And it should continue. The fact is, we love making fun of each other.
And why doesn't she mind stereotyping when it comes to parades? Why don't you mind Why is it not stereotyping when a culture gets together and go, yeah, look, most people in our culture do this. Why is that an acceptable form of lumping everybody into the same basket? And yet if you make fun of something, it's impolite or it's sexist or it's racist. Why is it only the positive? Why are all Italians throwing their fists up about Columbus? Yeah! Or all blacks want to celebrate Malcolm X. But if you point out a guy like Colin Ferguson and say that's an indication of black behavior, whoa, hey, he's just one guy.
Yeah.
Why? You can't just take the positive. If you want parades, you got to take the negative too.
All right, we better take a break. We're late. We'll read the second half of this article. Can we get Cheryl McCarthy on the phone today from New York Newsday?
Try that one.
She might come on. Sometimes these reporters will surprise you.
Well, they're brave behind their laptops, and then you try to get them on the air to discuss this, and they're not in. Oh, my God, they don't get in until 1 in the afternoon.
Ooh. Well, she would sleep late.
Because they do the math they do the math in their head like, well, they got to be off the air by 1, so.
She's probably busy. Oh, she's on her period.
Woman.
You're checking out the ONA virus spreading across America, where we love to make fun of everything. You're checking out the Opie and Anthony show, the ONA virus spreading across America. What's wrong, Jimmy? What's wrong?
What's wrong with this?
In the meantime, Space Hog. 1-866-313-FREE. That's 1-866-313-FREE. If you want to get a hold of us today, we're looking at this article that Cheryl McCarthy wrote for Newsday. The headline, Airwaves Regress in Decency.
Yes. A lot of talk about shock jocks over the weekend.
Shock jocks in the news.
Shock jocks.
We love stereotyping on the Opie and Anthony show.
Yeah.
We're proud to say that.
Aren't they stereotyping shock jocks in that article?
Of course they are.
Lumping everybody into one category. If they don't do, some kind of, Air America liberal type broadcast, then you're a shock jock and you practice hate speech.
By the way, I want to be known as a shock jock American.
Ooh, shock jock American.
Shock jock American.
I want to be known as White Jimmy.
Ooh, how about that?
That's my.
Well, the article continues.
Can offend people.
We're almost done with this. So she said things changed for a while and it was getting better. And now she goes on to say, now we've entered a period when hate speech and racist and misogynistic talk are not only acceptable, but encouraged. What happened?
Misogynistic.
The way Anthony went, you said misogynistic.
I just replaced the one part of it.
Anthony went, This right here, in that little one sentence you read, is everything that's wrong with political correctness. The fact that you are lumping in the motives of hate speech are to get people to truly feel hateful feelings or to go out and commit violent acts. That's what hate speech is. Hitler hate speech.
Get a Hitler speech going.
That's hate speech.
And when he's rambling on at Nuremberg, there's some hate speech for you.
Because the motive's behind it.
Right. He's inciting people to go and kill people of other ethnic groups. And
yes.
Yeah, that's hate speech. If Hitler got up there and said, how many Jews does it take to open a bar or something, told a few jokes, perhaps he would have been perceived differently during history.
2 Jews walk into a bar. We condemned it! That wasn't a very good German accent. I don't know what that was.
That was very funny, though. I liked it.
So it's encouraged. The main culprits are the radio shock jocks, such as Howard Stern. She mentions Rush Limbaugh, who routinely slur racial minorities, speak of women as sex objects, and rev up hatred against immigrants and homosexuals.
They rev up hatred.
Yes. Vroom. Vroom.
Vroom. We don't like blacks. That's not good. Vroom. We hate blacks. Shut up.
You're revving it up.
That's what happens, by the way, when you say things that are against the company line, whether it's about homosexuality or immigrants. You're revving up hatred.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, the whole, I'm not going to do Colin's line. He had the funniest immigration line last night, which I'm going to laugh for 6 weeks about. That's all I'm going to say about it. But that would be considered hateful.
Well, he listens to us every morning. Colin, give us a call. I want to hear the line now.
Unless you have
Now I
your
wanna
fat
hear it.
face and a pillow.
What are you saying?
Because Colin's he's just finished in life.
Oh.
And he just sits on the bed and collapses with his face in a pillow until he wakes up 4 hours later, nervous and unhappy.
He's a miserable man, isn't
Oh, what
he?
an ass.
Nor are the culprits all white males, Anthony. The black hip-hop DJs promote the negativism
Yeah, listen to what she points out.
of
though.
the music they play,
Music.
celebrating violence, the denigration of women,
Right, in their music.
black self-loathing,
Black self-loathing.
and anti-immigrant feeling as well.
Immigrant feeling. How about just plain whitey sucks?
How about racist? Why
How about
not use that language?
racist speech about how the man is the devil and is keeping them down? I would listen to WLIB when they were a black militant station a few years back. And it was some of the worst, what she would call hate speech ever. I found it hysterically funny.
Absolutely.
It was
Very
really
entertaining at
funny.
times.
But it was, it would be classified in this woman's opinion as hate speech because it was all about how white people were the devil trying to keep the black people down. One woman actually got on, and I loved this one. She was talking about how melanin in the skin isn't just in the skin. It's throughout the entire body, and it has been proven that higher levels of melanin in the brain makes you more intelligent. So what she was saying was, the darker your skin, the smarter you are. Now, if any white
History has
person
proved that.
got on the radio and said the exact opposite, that melanin affects the brain negatively, and that the whiter you are, the smarter you are, that person would be fired. But this station was able to just blurt out any over-the-top racism.
Did she write any articles about WLIB in her career?
I never saw a negative article about WLIB.
And by the way, I love the way she goes, nor are all the culprits white males. Gee, thanks, really?
Yeah.
Considering this whole article is spurned on because of what a black DJ did. And
Yeah.
that's the language. Look at how soft the language she uses when it comes to non-whites is. The negativism, celebrating violence, the denigration. Meanwhile, when she's talking about Rush Limbaugh, slur racial minorities, speak of women as sex objects, and rev up hatred.
Hatred, yeah. But then the black jocks, it's,
Black self-loathing.
Black self-loathing.
That's black people's biggest crime. They rev up black self-loathing. They don't do
like
anything against
themselves.
any other race. All rappers do is talk about sex and violence. They do a little bit more than promote black self-loathing. They promote shooting each other. What is that? They don't. That's not nice between black people. That's
No.
a little self-loathing.
Little negativity there.
Black cinema. That's all you need to know about the way people are separated. Black cinema in Virgin Records.
Yeah.
That's exactly. No one's uncomfortable with that.
All right. Well, she says the tide has turned because the people who own the radio stations and the right-wing TV channels
Right-wing.
and those who produce hip-hop music have learned that it pays to appeal to people's worst instincts, their basest prejudices. And as much as we deny it, this country still has a lot of good old boys, whether they're black or white, and whether they're
black
even
or white.
boys.
You know something? When you say good old boys, black people aren't really conjured up in my mind.
No.
When you say the term good old boys, black or white, that's like when people say, there are white niggas too. Stop it. There are certain terms that are for certain groups. Good old boys means racist hillbilly. That's what that means.
And she
So
throws-
don't try to turn it around and say
Whether
that
they're
it's
black or
about
white.
Right.
Just keep the article
stop
all
it.
safe.
All safe.
Yeah, of course, you
This
coward.
woman stinks.
She's awful, and she's a hack. In the picture they have of like the bad people, the shocks, the bad people. This is
Yeah.
she has a picture of Howard. She has a picture of Rush Limbaugh and a picture of Bill O'Reilly. It's an article based on the actions of a black DJ, and you have 3 typical safe white guy photos.
Yeah.
Could you come up with an original thought? Could you have an original angle on it? God almighty, you stupid hack.
About just photographing the bullet holes outside the black radio station.
Yeah, exactly. Where's all the commentary on 97?
Yeah.
And the barbarism that's been going on in that station? Where? If that was happening at a rock station, they would have shut it down a long time ago.
Hell yeah.
That's what hate speech is, stupid.
Yeah, hate speech coming out of the barrel of a gun.
And I've had enough
I
of this.
hate you, bang.
Who's this Asian guy, John Liu?
Yeah.
Who pipes his stupid face up every time there's a problem in the Asian community. And look, I like the fact, that he goes after black people who are doing racist remarks, because the white people are so guilt-ridden, they never will, but the Asians don't want to hear it. They've been running delis for long enough, and they're like, look, we live here.
Well, he got a lot of attention from the tsunami song.
Yeah, of course he did.
Yep.
And he's got a lot of power behind him.
But the fact that he did, having this guy arrested is, to me, it's revolting, because no one thinks he was a real threat. It's a couple of people who are just covering their asses. Just in case there's a problem, they can say they did go out and arrest him. Nobody thinks he's really going to commit a violent act. Star's not going to commit a violent act, or Buck Wild, if he existed. Can't believe that.
All right, the article ends up by saying, because some listeners were outraged by Starr's comments, he's been fired, and on Friday was arrested and charged with harassment and child endangerment. And only after this newspaper took issue with the WBAB spoof.
Thank God for you, Newsday.
Your do-gooders.
Yeah, you took issue, and that got it all going, didn't it?
And only after this newspaper took issue with the WBAB spoof.
Take credit for it.
The station pulled it off the air and now says it's going to reach out to the Hispanic community.
Yeah.
Cheryl McCarthy, you're just a dope.
And BAB just buckles like unbelievable. They are just a bunch of faggots over there.
How are you going to reach out to the Hispanic community? You going to drive by Home Depot at 8 in the morning with a pickup truck?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say that. Sorry. I didn't mean to make this speech.
Help them out. Give them some work.
Roger and JP are shock jocks without the shock.
There's no shock.
They're
just jocks.
They're shaking in their boots trying to get a little edgy. And as soon as someone notices they're edgy, like, we're sorry. We'll play Leonard Skinner Freebird. I'm sorry.
I put a voltmeter on both of them, and it came up 0. There's no shock there at all. Someone needs to flip their breakers. They're off.
You know how many times in Anthony and I's careers, our careers, I should say, because Jimmy's part of this as well, where management calls us at home and goes, guys, you really need to go on the air and apologize. And we just sit back.
For what?
And they're like, no, you really need to apologize immediately. And we're just like, no.
We'll come up with the 18 reasons why we shouldn't have to.
Right.
And they're all legit. There's no reason to apologize for something someone found tasteless or offensive to them personally. There is no reason to apologize, because that's the way we are as human beings.
The Wetback Steakhouse, commercial parody sounds like a real hoot.
Quite frankly, I'm kind of pissed we didn't come up with it first.
And it should have been in heavy rotation.
Right.
As soon as you got a little attention for that, it should have went into heavy rotation.
If you're offended by racial humor or any type of humor, here's what you do: buy a gun, put it in your mouth, and do the job.
Help out the country.
Pull a Full Metal Jacket on a toilet.
The last line of the article, in both cases, they say they're sorry if they offended anyone, but the truth is they thought they could get away with it.
And that's where the problem is.
Not with Newsday on the case.
Thank God for Newsday.
Cheryl McCarthy, please call our show.
Cheryl.
Please call our show. Ben, did you leave a message yet? Yeah, leave a message for Cheryl McCarthy from Newsday.
I can't wait to read the kiss-ass letters she's going to get. Dear Cheryl, I agree with you wholeheartedly that this country has slipped into a blah, blah, kill yourself.
Ugh. I hate when reporters won't come on. Like, we tried to get Richard Johnson from the Post on to discuss something, and we're pretty fair when people, and he hung up on Ben, which a part of me understands that. I've spoken
Richard Johnson, one of the biggest pussies out there, hiding behind his laptop. They all hide behind their laptops.
Doing a woman's job, kvetching and gossiping. Did you see what Beyonce was wearing?
Did Ben try to call from a riot at a Sox game? Because that's what his calls always sound like. It sounds like Ben is calling from a prison block that's under siege. I've never had a clear call from Ben. Where it's like, Ben? Hi, Anthony. How are you? It's just pandemonium. There's sirens in the background, wild animals. I don't know what's going on. What's wrong with your phone? You never call from a regular quiet place. Oh, the Blackberries? I hear they stink.
A BlackBerry phone, yeah.
You can't get...
That doesn't explain, though, why you're always calling from the riots in Pakistan.
It's just, there's always, what BlackBerries, what are they, a pre-recorded noise that plays during your calls? I just hear noise. It's not like BlackBerry noise. It's people screaming for their lives. It's like an Al-Zarqawi beheading he's calling from.
That's the noise Ben hears in his head all day. It's yelling and shouting.
Spilling out of his ear into his phone.
Hey, look at this one. Eric in Colorado. Eric, what's up? Make it fast.
Morning, boys. Hey, if this woman wants to hear hate speech, she ought to listen to some of these stations programmed to the Mexican audiences out west here that call for the killing of white people and literally the overthrow of the American government.
Yeah, the ethnic stations are allowed a carte blanche when it comes to offending this country and white people in America, and we have no recourse.
And they should be allowed carte blanche to do that. The problem is when you give us flack for it.
Right.
They should be allowed to.
Yeah, let them. I don't care. I find, like I said before, when I used to listen to the militant black stations, I found it hysterical, funny. Sometimes, I'd get so angry and aggravated at what they were saying, and then you just laugh at yourself. You go, why am I being... But where is this guy going to go with this?
Sure. Couple more phone calls, then we got to take another break and catch up here. Shane, what's up?
Good morning, gentlemen. Hi, little white Jimmy.
Hello.
Catching
not for
on.
nothing, but with this whole Black History Month, if we had White History Month, we can be complete ass racist.
Well, they see, they would argue that every other month is White History Month because we have taken the history and twisted it around and revised it so much just for white people that that is their month to, square things up.
Well, someone had to get history done.
Someone had to do things, build things, get it right.
Someone decided to be go-getters.
And understandable, the history was kind of perverted for a long time.
Yeah.
Other minority groups have to realize, black people, I think, are 12 or 13% of the population. It's you're not going to get equal time.
In the country, right.
A smaller percent of the population.
The world.
Doug in New Jersey.
Yeah.
Doug.
Yeah.
Hey, guys.
It's a speed round, so make it fast. Let's go.
Hey, what about Archie Bunker and the Jeffersons? How good was that in the 70s?
Never would be aired. Yeah, you couldn't make a sitcom like All in the Family.
Oh, a great example is they remade the Bad News Bears and made it politically correct.
Yeah.
You can't be funny and be politically correct. I want this woman to call up. I want her to call up, if we can hear her. She probably has the hairdryer on. She's, having her rollers put in, whatever broads do before they go to work. I want you to put your house dress on before you clean the toilet, and I want you to call in here while you're scrubbing that bowl. And I want you to explain, unless your tooth has been knocked out by a husband because you got lippy, I want you to explain when something has been funny and politically correct. Like when you have sanitized something and it's still funny.
Yeah, sanitized it so much that it cannot offend anybody,
right.
Yet it is still funny.
It doesn't have to be offensive, but when has it been politically incorrect, funny, and then you make it politically correct and it's still funny?
Do you think chickens enjoy that crossing the road joke? Do you think they really enjoy it? I don't.
I don't think they do either.
I don't think anyone enjoyed that joke I just told.
No, I thought it was okay. It was poignant, Aunt, because chickens have a right to... Well, we've all heard what they have a right to do if you've watched German pornography. They have a right to yell ouch and chicken talk.
Let's go to Greg on Long Island. Greg.
How you doing?
Hey.
How about the new Little Rascals movie? That was really bad too. But would you guys get in trouble if you played that Greasola crayons now? That's you did years ago.
I don't know. Would we? I think it can play.
Yeah, let's play Greaseola as we go to break.
This is the Grease Man.
We really screw up our commercial breaks today. But
the Grease Man got in a lot of trouble a few years back because he didn't like a song and suggested that the singer of the song be dragged behind a truck with chains right after a horrific incident down south, and he got fired for that. So we had a little fun with Grease Man apologizing. And
well, the Greaseola thing was actually, you did a take on the fact that Crayola.
Oh, that was what it was, too.
Yeah. No, this is even...
It's a mixture of the two things.
Well, this is even better because Crayola decided they had to make their colors politically correct.
So they were taking Indian red out of the color. Indian red was a classic Crayola color. And they took it out. And it was interpreted as Indian, like redskin, American Indian red, when the color came from India. It was like an Indian clay red, so they just called it Indian red, but didn't matter what the real reason they called it Indian red was. It offended too many American Indians, so they canceled the crayon.
The American Indians, I got a weird thing with. Like, I agree with, believe it or not, changing team names. I think they should change team names that are brutal like that.
I don't at all.
I do, only because no other group is cartooned like that where it's allowed.
Me heap 'em on fence with that one.
No, I'm just saying, hey.
But if you're gonna be that stupid and let us take everything, I mean,
for a few blankets and beads.
Yeah, let's be honest. I mean, if you're gonna be that dumb, you know,
I always said
we should be able to name our sports teams after you to make you sound like you were tough.
Point taken. Oh, point taken.
Oh,
see, that's a joke.
The New York horrible salesman. Could call the team that. The New York sold it for some pearls.
The $300 billion in real estate for 25 in beads, you asses.
Is ahead by 2 touchdowns.
Behind by a country, but ahead by 2 touchdowns.
Unbelievable.
Thanks, Sam.
So, Greaseman made wink, made an appearance on our show to talk about the outrage of changing Indian red.
And to sell his line of crayons.
Yeah, he decided that he should rename all the crayons.
Mm-hmm.
Yada-doo, diddle-day, yada-daddle-day, yada-dee.
Now, Greaseman, when are you...
Snarlins. I was being offensive. Yada-doodle-dee. Gobble-dee-goo.
Greaseman, you really got to get another job because we're sick of having you on our show here.
Waddle-daddle, please hire me.
No.
Somebody hire me, the Greaseman, for a radio show.
Well, I hear that you're looking at a job for Crayola.
Yes.
With Crayola, I should say.
Well, actually, the Greaseman is coming out with his own line of crayons. Racially insensitive crayons. I looked in the paper and I saw, the Greaseman saw that Crayola is removing Indian red
yes,
from their box of crayons.
Because it's not politically correct and they don't want to tick off any people.
Insensitive to the Injuns.
That's right.
As we like to call them, the cowboy killers. I remember as a cowboy slinging lead against the Injuns, their arrows whooshing over my head. The redskin. But yes, very, very upset about Indian red in the crayon box.
Yeah.
So Crayola pulled it.
Well, they're going to continue making the color. They want people to come up with a new name for that color.
Yeah. Let's see. How about Kimosabi? Yeah. Yaddle doodle. Snarling. Bone dry. Yeah.
You're just not politically correct, Greaseman.
Well, I'm hoping to get some money with my new crayon line.
Oh, yeah?
Yes, Greasola crayons.
Greasola crayons.
Greasola crayons.
Could you
and
name
the sharpener on the side makes the crayons as pointy as my head. Yaddle daddle, bone dry, yeah.
Now, could you name some of the crayons that you will be offering?
Well, let's say a young child, a little young waif wants to draw the sun.
Oh, that's nice.
Nice bright sun.
Sure.
Little picture in his kindergarten class. You know what color he'd use? In the Greasola crayon set?
What?
Chink yellow. Yaddle daddle. Just a big circle. You can get colored in with some chink yellow. Yaddle daddle. And of course, you can't complete the scene without maybe some flowers basking in the heat of that chink yellow sun.
Well, that would be nice, sure.
Right, so you draw some tulips.
Okay.
And, of course, you use Homo Pink. Homo Pink, a shade of pink loved by bone smugglers everywhere. Yaddle diddle, doodle die. How about Polish Purple?
Ah, Polish Purple sounds neat.
Polish Purple.
Why Polish Purple, though?
Well, look, it's green. Yiddle diddle die. The crazy Polacks can't get the colors right there. Oh, my. Mick Green.
Mick Green,
yes,
okay.
The color of the shamrocks.
That's right.
Mick Green, bone dry, yeah. Yaddle daddle.
Wow.
And, of course, Wetback Brown.
Of course.
And then, of course, I have the special Italian crayon there.
And what's that?
Look, it's a grease pencil. Greasy little Dago pencil. Yaddle-deedle-doodle-die. Bone dry, bone dry.
Very nice.
Oops, I'm being removed from my seat.
Hey.
Oh, it's happening again, Dad. Whoa.
Yeah, there they go. They're yanking him out of the studio again.
Oh, look at that. Dragged him out again. He's going to go back on his apology tour.
Greaseola crayons.
Greaseola crayons. Boy.
That's kind of cute, huh?
A little insensitive there.
Big time.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's the Opie and Anthony Show. Radio to the power of rock.
Sounds exciting.
All right, let's go to Virginia and say hi to Taylor. Taylor, what's going on today, man?
And actually go.
Not much, guys.
Busy.
I want to comment on something real. I'm in the military out here, and we got to give all this grief. And
Hoorah!
whiteboards. Hoorah! We can't call whiteboards anymore. They're dry erase boards. And the turn charts that we're so familiar with are, they can't let us call them flip charts because flip is apparently a derogatory term for a Puerto Rican.
Really?
I never
heard that one.
Yeah, that's it. I got to write that one down.
But a whiteboard has to be a dry board?
Dry erase board.
Wow.
There's
Aren't there women after menopause that feel offended by that word?
Yes.
The dry board?
I guess so, but
Thought that should have gotten a little more. Right. I am more than willing to crash myself.
Well, I thought you meant the word
All right, Taylor.
menopause because it's got men in it. I didn't know. I was trying to figure that one out.
What do you got, Jimmy, over there?
The Daily News. Star boss ought to pay, Paul. John Liu, he's an Asian councilman, Democrat, is really just making a career out of this stuff. Like, the more anti-Asian stuff there is, the happier this guy is. He said that the ex-bosses of Fire Shock Jock should make a $5 million donation to the Megan Kanka Foundation.
$5 million, huh?
That was the amount that he had been paid so far by them. He said Clear Channel thought, and Megan Kanka was a little girl who was murdered by this scumbag Jesse Domenicus, who was on death row. And he goes, Clear Channel thought it fit to broadcast a pedophile's fantasy, so I think it's only fair and appropriate for them to cough up $5 million. Hey, John Liu, shut your face. What does some guy doing inappropriate humor have to do with the barbaric murder of a 5-year-old? How do you tie these things together?
Yeah, don't tie that together. It's actually an insult to the memory of the girl and her family. You know, there are plenty of things this guy could attach himself to that are legitimate concerns in the Asian community. He's got some power. He's got a power base. That's great. And he could use it to help out his constituency. To just grab onto the coattails of these shock jock stories. It's sensationalism. It's trying to get your name out there, and it really lacks credibility. And usually when people do this, they have a sharp spike in popularity and power, and then voomp, right back down the other side. It's not a way to keep a power base. You keep a power base by keeping your constituency happy and actually doing things that help them. This isn't really helping because no one really cares in your power base. No one really cares.
We got a correction, by the way. Cockroach, what's up?
Hey, Cockroach.
Yeah, it is Cockroach in Virginia Beach, and hey, man, I hate the show. Y'all suck. But
Thank you, sir.
The numbnuts that just called, the flip is not a Puerto Rican. It is a Filipino, because we have got a huge flip population down here in Virginia Beach.
Is that it?
Why is that term insulting to Filipinos?
How is that derogatory?
Probably shortened Filipino.
Yeah, but
that's all I'm guessing.
It's shortened.
Who cares?
That's all right.
But I guess it is. I don't know.
We're losing our minds.
I'm an it.
Let's go to Jeremy in Harlem.
That could be good.
Yo, what's going on?
You're a gut.
Terrence, what up, boys? I want to let y'all know y'all got my vote. You know what I'm saying? There's officially nothing else to listen to out here in New York, so, you know, y'all got my vote. I used to laugh at y'all on 102.7 back in the day.
Yeah. Jeremy, my brother.
Yeah, we're gonna.
Thank you.
We're gonna have to talk black because there's a lot of star listeners out there looking for a new radio show.
Hey, you found it.
Were you guys kidding
Jeremy.
that Buck Wild didn't really exist? I mean, are you serious? I'm dead serious. Were you kidding or no?
I was really stunned when I heard it, but no, it's true. I didn't
it was
believe
his half brother.
it was his half brother, but only sometimes, right, Jeremy?
Yeah, like he had another character who won a contest like B Buck Wild for this month or something.
Yeah, he liked Be Buck Wild for a month, and then like maybe sometimes there wasn't a Buck Wild in there with him.
Yeah, because I was wondering where's Buck Wild if you're gonna arrest the show.
Yeah, I'd be like, hey, isn't Buck Wild a little upset that his partner's arrested?
Yeah, let's get a comment.
How's he gonna get a job?
Let's get a comment from Buck Wild.
No comments from Buck Wild.
That Buck Wild knows how to keep quiet.
He didn't even have a mic.
His name is Buck Quiet. He's Buck Mellow.
It's not too wild now, is he?
Star and Buck Safe.
Star and Buck keep quiet.
Buck Hush.
Buck Hush.
Buck no comment.
All right, Jeremy.
Old times, you guys suck.
Yeah,
Thank you, man.